Have you ever hit that first savings milestone and then wondered, okay, now what? You've got $25,000 sitting in your account, and suddenly you're faced with a whole new set of questions that nobody prepared you for. Should you keep saving the same way? Should you start investing differently? And why does it feel like you're standing at a financial crossroads with no GPS? Well, here's something that might change your perspective entirely. That $25,000 you've saved isn't just a number. It's proof that you've mastered the fundamentals of financial discipline. But here's the kicker. The strategies that got you to $25,000 are not the same strategies that will take you to $100,000 or beyond. It's like learning to ride a bike with training wheels and then wondering why you're not winning the Tour de France yet. You've got the basics down, but now it's time to level up your entire approach to wealth building. My name is Nick, and I've helped countless people navigate this exact transition from being good savers to becoming true wealth builders. If you're ready to transform that $25,000 into real financial momentum, and you want strategies that actually accelerate your progress, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button, because what I'm about to share could be the difference between staying comfortable and achieving actual financial freedom. Now, before we dive into the specific strategies, let me explain why this $25,000 mark is such a critical inflection point. Most people treat it like just another savings goal, like it's the same as going from $5,000 to $10,000, but it's fundamentally different. When you're saving your first few $1,000s, you're building the habit of not spending everything you earn. You're creating an emergency fund and learning basic financial discipline. That's important work, but it's also relatively straightforward. Save more than you spend, repeat until you hit your target. Simple, right? But once you've got $25,000 saved, you're playing a completely different game. You've proven you can save money. Now the question becomes, are you optimizing that money to work as hard as possible for you? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. If that $25,000 is just sitting in a regular savings account earning 0.5% interest, you're actually losing money every year thanks to inflation. You worked hard to save that money, and it's slowly becoming less valuable while you pat yourself on the back for being responsible. It's like training for a marathon and then stopping to walk right before the finish line. The wealthy understand something that most people miss entirely. Saving money is just the foundation. The real wealth building happens when you transition from accumulation mode to optimization mode. It's about making every dollar work harder, taking calculated risks, and understanding that playing it too safe is actually one of the riskiest things you can do with your financial future. Throughout this video, I'm going to walk you through a comprehensive framework for taking that $25,000 and turning it into serious wealth. We're going to cover everything from how to think differently about risk to specific tactical moves that can dramatically accelerate your wealth-building trajectory. And yes, I'm going to reveal some strategies that might make you uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is exactly where growth happens. Let's start by addressing the biggest mistake people make once they hit this milestone. They keep doing exactly what they were doing before. They keep funneling money into the same savings account, using the same strategies, following the same conservative approach that got them here. And look, I get it, that approach worked. Why mess with success? But here's the problem. What got you here won't get you there. The strategies that are optimal for building your first $25,000 are not optimal for building your next $75,000. When you're starting from zero, your priority is safety and consistency. You need that emergency fund. You need that financial cushion. But once you've built that foundation, continuing to play it ultra safe is actually holding you back from reaching your full potential. Think about it this way. If you're saving $500 a month and earning 0.5% interest in a savings account, it'll take you about 4 years to go from $25,000 to $50,000. But if you're investing that same $500 monthly at a 10% average annual return, you could hit $50,000 in just over 3 years. That's a full year of your life back. Now multiply that advantage over decades, and you start to see why this transition is so critical. The first strategy for thriving beyond $25,000 is understanding and embracing calculated risk. Notice I said calculated risk, not reckless gambling. There's a massive difference, and understanding that difference is crucial to your success. When you have zero savings, putting money in the stock market feels scary because you can't afford to lose anything. But when you have $25,000 saved, you've built a cushion. You can afford to take some of that money and put it to work in investments that have higher potential returns, even if they come with more volatility. Here's what most people don't realize about risk. Not taking enough risk is itself a risk. If you keep all your money in savings accounts earning next to nothing, you're guaranteeing that inflation will erode your purchasing power over time. You're taking the risk of your money becoming less valuable, which is just as real as the risk of market volatility. The The key is finding the right balance. You don't need to put everything in speculative cryptocurrency or individual stocks. But you should be moving a significant portion of your wealth into diversified investments that have historically provided strong returns over time. We're talking about index funds, ETFs, and other vehicles that give you exposure to the growth of the overall market. Strategy number 2 is about optimizing your tax situation in ways that weren't available or practical when you had less money saved. Once you've got $25,000, you have enough capital to make sophisticated tax strategies actually worth the effort. This is where things like maxing out your Roth IRA contributions become incredibly powerful. With a Roth IRA, you pay taxes on the money now, but then it grows tax-free forever. When you're early in your career and in a lower tax bracket, this is an absolute goldmine. You're essentially locking in a low tax rate on money that could grow to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here's the thing. Most people don't bother with this because they think they need that money accessible. They don't want to lock it away in a retirement account. That's short-term thinking that costs you massive amounts of money in the long run. When you've got $25,000 saved, you have enough of a cushion that you can afford to start thinking long-term with some of that money. Another tax optimization strategy that becomes viable at this level is tax loss harvesting. This is where you strategically sell investments that have declined in value to offset gains from other investments, reducing your tax bill. It sounds complicated, but there are now robo-advisors that do this automatically for you. The point is, once you have a meaningful amount of money invested, these tax optimization strategies can save you thousands of dollars every year. Strategy number 3 is diversification, but not the way most people think about it. Everyone knows you should diversify your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's Finance 101. But what people often miss is that you should also diversify your income streams. When you have $25,000 saved, you have options that weren't available before. You could use some of that money to invest in yourself, whether that's additional education, starting a side business, or developing a skill that could lead to higher income. This is where the concept of using money to make money becomes real. You're not just saving and hoping it grows. You're actively deploying capital to create additional wealth-building opportunities. Let's say you use $5,000 from your savings to start a side business that brings in an extra $500 a month. That's a 10% monthly return on your investment, which annualizes to something absolutely insane. Even if it takes you 6 months to get to that $500 monthly profit, you're still looking at returns that crush anything you could get in the stock market. The key is thinking of yourself as a business. You're not just an employee who saves money. You're a wealth-building enterprise that allocates capital to its highest and best use. Sometimes that's index funds. Sometimes that's real estate. And sometimes that's investing in your own earning potential. Strategy number 4 is about understanding the power of leverage, but using it wisely. This is where a lot of people get nervous, and rightfully so. Leverage, or using borrowed money to invest, can be incredibly dangerous if used recklessly. But when used strategically, it can dramatically accelerate your wealth building. The most common and relatively safe form of leverage is a mortgage on investment property. Once you have $25,000 saved, you have enough for a down payment on a rental property in many markets. This allows you to control an asset worth $100,000 or more with just $25,000 of your own money. If that property appreciates by 5% annually, you're getting a 5% return on the full $100,000 value, not just your $25,000 investment. That's the power of leverage. Now, I'm not saying everyone should run out and buy rental property. Real estate investing comes with its own challenges and isn't right for everyone. But the principle of leverage is important to understand because it's one of the primary ways that wealthy people accelerate their wealth building. They use other people's money, whether that's bank loans, business partners, or investors, to amplify their returns. Strategy number 5 is about increasing your savings rate, not just your savings amount. This might sound like the same thing, but it's not. When you were building your first $25,000, maybe you were saving $500 a month. That might have been 15% of your income. Now that you've proven you can live on 85% of your income, the question becomes, can you push that even further? What if you could get your savings rate up to 25% or even 30%? The beautiful thing about having $25,000 already saved is that it gives you flexibility to take some career risks that could lead to higher income. You could negotiate more aggressively for a raise knowing you have a cushion. You could switch jobs for better pay without worrying about a gap in employment. You could start that side business we talked about earlier. Every time your income increases, you have a choice. You can inflate your lifestyle or you can inflate your savings rate. The wealthy consistently choose the latter. They understand that the goal isn't to look rich, the goal is to be rich. And being rich means having assets that generate income, not just having a nice car in the driveway. Strategy number 6 is about becoming more sophisticated with your investment choices. When you're starting out with small amounts, keeping things simple with broad market index funds makes total sense. But once you have $25,000 or more invested, you can start to get a bit more strategic about asset allocation. This might mean tilting towards small cap value stocks, which have historically outperformed the broader market over long time periods. It might mean adding some international exposure to capture growth in developing markets. It might mean including some real estate investment trusts to diversify beyond just stocks and bonds. The key is not to get too fancy. You're not trying to become a day trader or pick the next Amazon, but you can start to optimize your portfolio based on your specific situation, timeline, and risk tolerance. This is where working with a fee-only financial advisor might make sense. When you have $25,000, paying someone a few $100s for a comprehensive financial plan becomes a worthwhile investment. Strategy number 7 is about protecting what you've built. Once you have significant assets, you need to start thinking about insurance differently. We're not just talking about health insurance and car insurance anymore. We're talking about umbrella liability policies that protect your assets if someone sues you. We're talking about disability insurance that protects your income if you can't work. We're talking about proper estate planning documents, so your assets go where you want them to go if something happens to you. This might not sound exciting, but it's absolutely critical. You've worked hard to build this $25,000. The last thing you want is to lose it all because you didn't have adequate protection in place. Think of insurance as the moat around your wealth castle. Strategy number 8 is about mindset and community. Once you've reached this level of financial success, you need to surround yourself with people who are on the same journey or further ahead. The reality is that most people are not building wealth. They're living paycheck to paycheck and making poor financial decisions. If those are the people you spend most of your time with, their habits and attitudes will rub off on you. Find communities, whether online or in person, where people are talking about wealth building, investing, and financial independence. Read books by people who have achieved the level of success you're aiming for. Listen to podcasts that challenge you to think bigger about your financial future. Your environment shapes your outcomes more than almost anything else. Strategy number 9 is about giving yourself permission to enjoy some of your success while still building wealth. This might seem to contradict everything else I've said, but it's actually crucial for long-term sustainability. If you're so focused on saving and investing that you never enjoy your life, you're going to burn out. The goal isn't to have the most money in the graveyard. The goal is to build enough wealth that you have freedom and options while still enjoying the journey. Once you've got $25,000 saved and you're consistently investing, it's okay to allocate some money for experiences and things that genuinely bring you joy. The key word is genuinely. We're not talking about keeping up with the Joneses or buying stuff to impress people. We're talking about spending money on things that align with your values and actually improve your quality of life. Maybe that's travel, maybe that's a hobby, maybe that's nice dinners with friends. Whatever it is, build it into your plan rather than feeling guilty about it. When you give yourself permission to enjoy some of your money, you're much more likely to stick with your wealth building plan for the long haul. Here's the beautiful thing about reaching $25,000 and implementing these strategies. You're not just building wealth anymore. You're building a completely different relationship with money. You're moving from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking. You're moving from fear-based decisions to opportunity-based decisions. This is the journey from saving to thriving. It's about recognizing that you've built something significant, and now it's time to leverage that foundation into something truly extraordinary. The path forward isn't about working harder or sacrificing more. It's about working smarter and making your money work as hard as you do. If you found this video valuable, make sure to subscribe because I'll be sharing more strategies to help you navigate every stage of your wealth building journey. Your next $25,000 will come faster than your first, and the one after that even faster. That's the power of momentum. Until next time, keep building that wealth one smart decision at a time.